So good evening, everyone, and welcome to SUNY Plattsburgh's Title IX Campus Violence Prevention and Response Resource Panel. No matter how you're joining us tonight, we're glad to have you here. We're bringing everyone together so that, again, whether you are a student, faculty member, staff member, or a visitor to a campus, that you know your rights and resources available to you, not only on campus, but also our members of the community, bringing everyone together to discuss how they can help you and support you through your journey here at SUNY Plattsburgh and beyond, having some knowledge as you can use outside of SUNY Plattsburgh. I myself, my name is Zyaijah Nadler. I go by she, her, and hers pronouns. I am the SUNY Plattsburgh Violence Prevention, Education, and Outreach Coordinator. My role on campus is to provide educational sessions as we are doing today, as well as doing outreach. We have a lot of involvement opportunities here in the Title IX office, whether it's internship, peer educator opportunities, bystander intervention, and more. If you're interested in any of the involvement opportunities, please feel free to reach out to me. I will be the moderator for today. The chat feature is turned off. If you are looking to chat, I would be the only individual for today's presentation that you would be able to chat with. But I invite you to send me any questions that you may have for any of our participants for this evening. If we do not have enough time to get to your question now, please follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and we will be answering your questions there throughout the next 2 weeks. In addition to myself moderating today's conversation, we have our intern, one of our interns for the office, who is now going to introduce themselves as well. And as usual, Zoom has technical difficulties and we still roll with the punches. So as they get situated, are we good, Ciarah? Nope, not yet, it's fine. Okay, so as we get situated, we'll come right back around to allow them to introduce themselves shortly, as well as another intern that we have in the office as well. I'm just going to start with some of my fellow colleagues within the Title IX office. They're going to introduce themselves and their roles on campus.
Hi, my name is Butterfly Blaise Boire, and I am the Title IX coordinator on campus. So I am the person that you'd come to make reports of gender or sex-based discrimination, harassment, or violence, including interpersonal violence, so stalking, domestic or dating violence, as well as sexual violence. And I'll get a little bit more into what that looks like as we continue.
I'm Bennett. I'm the Title IX and Non-Discrimination Investigator for SUNY Plattsburgh. My role is to investigate the reports that Butterfly just mentioned, those types of reports after they've come to the Title IX office, and put together a report that may or may not go to student conduct at the end of the investigation. And I go by she, her, and hers.
Thank you, team. I now invite Larry Allen to also introduce themselves.
Hi, everybody. Larry Allen, Director of Student Conduct. I oversee all adjudication for college cases that are referred to our office for the campus for both students and group and teams, etc., for all behavior. And so that's in sum what I do. I'll talk more about that later. Hello.
We also have some members, not only from our own personal university police, but representatives from city police and New York State campus sexual assault investigator as well, who will now introduce themselves at this time.
So I'm Levi Ritter. I'm the Chief of Police at the City of Plattsburgh Police Department.
Hi, my name is Eric Burnett, and I'm a senior investigator with the New York State Police assigned to the Campus Sexual Assault Victims Unit. Part of my job is to go around and assist the Title IX offices, as well as the UPD with sexual assault cases. Coming up here will be just Facteau.
Trying to maintain our social distance here and proper face covering. So Investigator Jessica Facteau, University Police here at Plattsburgh, and I work very closely with everyone else on this panel.
Thank you. And now I invite our local district attorney's office to also introduce herself.
Hello, my name is Melinda Seiden. I'm an assistant district attorney in Clinton County. I handle all of these sexual assault cases involving adults, campus related, as well as children, but I also handle every felony that stems from a city case. So I deal with a lot of SUNY students in my career.
And now we will have our Student Counseling Center introduce themselves as well.
Hi, can you see me? I'm Christy Mink. I'm the Assistant Director of Counseling, and I'm one of the counselors at the Counseling Center. I represent 5 counselors at your Counseling Center. We're here to provide counseling services to all students for a variety of reasons, specifically with regard to sexual assault and sexual violence. We do provide those services to all students on our campus.
And now I invite Mason, followed by Genie, who will then also introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Mason Dierich. My pronouns are they, them. I'm the Enough is Enough coordinator at Sexual Services, and I provide educational programming on campus related to sexual violence. I often partner with Zyaijah on a lot of programs, so if you've seen me around campus, it's usually because I'm doing a program with her. But I also do provide short-term counseling services to students, and I can provide assistance or support through the adjudication process for reporting individuals.
Hello, my name is Genie Denton. I am the community educator and volunteer coordinator at Stop Domestic Violence. Stop Domestic Violence is a local resource for anyone who finds themselves in Clinton, Essex, or Franklin County. So certainly students who attend the SUNY campus are within our purview, and we're happy to provide a variety of services that we'll talk about in the future here today.
Also inviting our Global Education Office to now speak, followed by Housing and Community Living, and then our Student Support Services.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amanda Suriel, and I work with the Global Education Office. I am an international student advisor, and so I primarily work with our F1 visa holders and advising them from everything to orientation until they graduate.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I'm happy to be here. My name is Steve Matthews. I'm the Director of Campus Housing and Community Living here on the campus. And I represent our entire office, which includes our nearly 80 CAs and 9 community directors who work directly with our on-campus population to support them.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley DeRocher. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am the Director of Student Support Services. It's a TRIO program that serves first-generation, moderate income, and students with disabilities. And we also house our campus food. And I oversee Jennifer Curry, who can't be here with us today, but she's from Student Accessibility Services, and she provides a variety of accommodations and advocacy for people who are in need. Thank you.
And because we are not only a student-centered institution, we also deeply care about our faculty and staff and make sure that they feel supported. That being said, we also have a representative from Human Resource Services who will introduce themselves as well.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Trombley, and as Zyaijah said, I work in the Human Resource Services Department. My title there is Human Resource and Labor Relations Associate. So I do deal with a little bit of everything, and happy to be joining everybody tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And now we are going to proceed with the event for the evening, going through our general questions that we have prepared already for all of you based on not only our student intern input and questions, but some commonly asked questions that many of our offices see on a day-to-day basis. Can't hear you yet. You're on mute on the phone.
Hi. Okay. So the first question is your office or agency a confidential or private resource?
So the Title IX office is a private resource. So the difference between those, just to kind of describe the difference between those two things, a private resource would be someone who is going to keep all of your information private, but would need to tell certain offices based on a need-to-know basis, depending on what you're reporting, what different engagements or affiliations you have on campus, or who we might need to engage in the process to support you. Versus confidential resources would be someone who doesn't need to tell anyone unless there's a threat of harm to self or to others. So that is the difference between those two things.
Hi, similar to what Butterfly just said, and I would add that any of us working at the college would be bound by FERPA. And so in terms of rights of students' privacy to their collegiate records.
Stop Domestic Violence is a confidential resource for students. If they reach out to us, we will keep what they have to say between ourselves unless they sign a release form to authorize us to share any information.
The Counseling Center is also a confidential resource. All counselors at the Counseling Center are licensed mental health counselors or licensed mental health providers. So we will keep everything that students say with us confidential.
Campus housing, our community advocates and community directors are private. So we would have to share information depending, as Larry and Butterfly laid out.
And similar to housing, GEO is also going to be keeping information private, but we will not be, we're not a confidential resource.
And same thing with the, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
With the district attorney's office, we are private unless I have to share something under legal obligations, I will share it. But other than that, everything remains private amongst ourselves.
Planned Parenthood is confidential. The health center is bound by HIPAA, so any of your medical information won't be shared. Sexual assault services is also confidential. You meet with any of our counselors or myself. We don't divulge any information unless, like Butterfly said, there's a risk of harm to yourself or others, or if records happen to be subpoenaed. But otherwise, everything stays confidential.
As far as the law enforcement end goes, we're victim driven. We don't disclose unless we're asked to by the victim. Unless the victim's a minor, then we may be required to get other agencies involved.
Okay, so our next question is, what is a common misconception about your office, agency, or department you'd like to clarify?
I don't mind going first. I think there's a common misconception that in order to meet with a prosecutor or make it to the DA's office, there has to be a criminal charge actually pending. I have a very extensive relationship with law enforcement that I not only will meet with cases that are charged, but many times I meet with victims of cases that don't necessarily want to go forward, but want to have conversations about what's available to them or what their options are. So many times before that actual decision's made as to what somebody wants to do legally, I will meet with them, either myself or with law enforcement, just to let them know that I'm here to listen to them, what are their options, what resources are available, and that even though they're not necessarily as a criminal charge, I still want to listen to them and be a resource for them if I can.
Okay, I'll chime in. My position is very unique to the New York State Police, basically because I'm dealing with campuses mainly. One of the biggest things that I see is students, victims, survivors think that they have to report to the UPD or the city police department. Under the Enough's Enough legislation from a few years ago, that affords victims the right to choose who they want to deal with. That includes the state police. So if they specifically ask for me, ask for the state police to get involved, I'm probably going to be the one that's going to come and talk with them at least and guide them in the right direction.
One of the popular misconceptions with Stop Domestic Violence is that people think we're going to force them to do something. Actually, our role is to present their choices and options upon hearing what they have going on and to help them safety plan and to support the choice that they make. And I think sometimes people think that that's not what our job is, but it is. So we don't tell you what you have to do. We just tell you what you could do in this scenario that you're living. And then also, I think in our name, there's a little bit of a misnomer that people think that we provide victim services only to victims of domestic violence, but actually we serve any victim of violent crime and can help them if they want to submit an application to the New York State Office of Victim Services for out-of-pocket expenses that they've incurred.
I'll echo Genie on that one as well. SAS also does offer Office of Victim Service compensation claim help, and we also serve everyone. I think a lot of times people have a misconception that sexual violence or even domestic violence services serve only women, but we serve all people, no matter who you are. If you're a victim of violence, we're going to help you. So yeah.
I think the point that Genie brings up for our office is also a misconception in that we're going to tell you what you have to do when you come to the office. My primary role is to make sure that individuals get linked with resources and accommodations and support that they might need. And the goal is for it to be as autonomous as possible, to lay out the choices and have people be able to choose what works best for them. I think it's important to note, though, that I also am the person that has to keep track of trends and patterns. And I have an obligation, if something comes to me that looks as a campus safety risk versus an individual risk, I then sometimes will need to initiate an investigation, a formal investigation, without the reporting individual's consent. Second misconception, and I'm only going to highlight three, though there may be more, is that we are advocates, meaning that when someone comes to our office that we are just there to support the reporting individual. In fact, we are an impartial or neutral resource, and our job in guiding people about other resources available in the community is to let them know who they can go to get advocacy or advisor support. And so my job specifically is to give support not just to a reporting individual, but to an accused individual as well. Obviously, there's an equity piece, meaning that there will be things that someone who's experienced violence would need more of than someone who is perhaps being accused of violence, but I serve both parties in that case, in each case. The third point is that I think there's a misconception that reports start and end with us. We are just really often the beginning point where someone comes to report something. Again, we go over all of their choices. We don't get to decide whether or not what's being reported to us is going to be determined to be found true or not true, or if someone's going to be responsible or not responsible through a process. That's much further down the line than we are. And I think that that is something that a lot of people don't realize.
And so Butterfly speaks of further down the line, and that's where my office would come in. And so I guess the first misconception that I can think of in regards to that is our office does not generate referrals. Referrals are based on an investigation or observation. If it's believed that there's a violation of the conduct manual, then that party or entity or office would refer to our office for adjudication purposes. And then with that, I guess the other misconception is that, I think I just lost it. That may be good enough, but we simply adjudicate. So it's based on a preponderance of the evidence and where in which a person is either determined upon that evidence to be responsible or not responsible. So I'll just stick with that one.
I can jump in here now. Butterfly mentioned a misconception that I was going to hit on was that when individuals come to University Police and report that we are going to kind of steer them in a direction in which they should, that we believe that they should be going in, but really we are just a resource to help that individual determine the best angle and the best way that they want to move forward and what's best for them as far as moving forward in their life. So that one misconception that we're going to help kind of drive which direction they should go into. And then the other misconception that everyone on this panel kind of operates as a separate entity, when really it's just one big collaborative resource together when we pool like this, so that we can do exactly what I just mentioned, was to route people in the right direction to make sure that they kind of are led down the path for themselves.
Okay, so our next question is, what does a trauma-informed approach look like in your office?
So I can start with that. So essentially, trauma-informed investigations on my part mean that when I'm working with individuals, I am doing my best to allow them to sort of take the interview at their own pace, giving them breaks if needed, to ask questions that are not leading, to ask questions that may be related to sensory memory based on what we know about trauma and memory and things like that. And then to just make sure that, again, the equity piece, I think, is a piece of that, to make sure everybody knows that they're receiving the same kind of services, all parties within any particular report and investigation.
I think also an approach that our office has is that we like to try to spend some time getting to know the person before we start to serve them. So meaning understanding who they are from a holistic perspective and the intersectionality of their identity. So we know that trauma is compounded from prior trauma and experiences. So each time someone walks into our office space, it's not just the experience they had, but it could have been the experience they had that's with someone who looks like me, or an office that's like mine. So we need to look at the things that they're telling us, or the cues they're giving us, in ways to better serve them. So it's working to gather some information about who they are, things that they would want us to know, aside from all the difficult questions we're going to ask them at some point when it becomes necessary, if they decide to engage in certain processes. Additionally, that means being patient. So if someone needs to meet with me 10 times before they tell me anything, that's okay. Like, Again, I'm not the one who should be in the driver's seat of this process. So it's standing back and saying, if you need time to process this, if you need to meet multiple times, if you'd like to connect with other people, you know, it's building that trust and that relationship, even if that time with that person is going to be a very short period of time. Because in reality, I think that that is one of the most important pieces, in that someone may only tell their story one time. And if you're the person they go to tell that, and they're received by you in a way that they don't feel embraced by their individuality and who they are as a person, that door might be shut and they may never speak to anyone ever again. So it's part of those steps in building that trust and helping them to feel empowered so they can work on their resilience and moving forward in any process that they feel will help in their healing.
I agree to kind of piggyback what you just said, Butterfly. That I don't want to be perceived in my office as the prosecutor to them. I want them to know me as Melinda and get to know them as a person. Most times when I have a case, I meet with people multiple times at length to get to know them, to know who they are, and listen to what they truly want and what bothers them and what's happened to them, and know that regardless of how this pans out, either a trial potentially at the end of the day or even just talking with me, that we're a team. It's not me looking to prosecute somebody, it's me to look to help them get to a place that they're in a better place from what had happened to them, and know that I truly want to help them and not just prosecute somebody.
I'll speak briefly about community advocates and community directors. Although we don't go through a true trauma informed process because we're not really investigating things, it's certainly noteworthy that many of our students are very comfortable coming to their CAs or CDs to talk about things that have happened. And that's a testament to the training they receive from folks on this panel, and to the approach we take, which is to develop that relationship first, and to be someone that, regardless of what the issue is, that a resident feels comfortable coming to that CA and CD because they know they'll be cared for, supported, and not judged, and given appropriate information and referred to the appropriate people on campus. And so I'm very proud of our student leaders and how they perform in that role.
On the law enforcement end, I've been using the trauma-informed approach for quite some time now. I'm actually certified through the state police to teach it. I'm currently going around our troop, which contains 4 counties, and teaching all of our investigators in our back rooms the interviewing technique in hopes that they'll actually work with the victims a little bit more. In law enforcement, sometimes it becomes so busy that people just come through the doors and through the doors. As Butterfly hit on, you may need 5 or 6 interviews before you have that person comfortable enough to even talk to you and tell you what happened. So that's one thing that the state police are doing is trying to get this interviewing technique out there, get people familiar with it. I can tell you, before I learned how to do it, there's several cases I can think of in my 27 years as a police officer that maybe if I had taken the time to understand why people may not remember things, I could have done a better job. So since I've had this training and I've been able to apply it, it really is a good thing. And we are actually out there teaching our guys how to do it.
I think I've heard some great answers, and that we too follow many of the same protocol and procedures that we've heard already answered by some of my colleagues. But one of our specific things that we do at Stop Domestic Violence is, because we offer victim services, is that we approach it from a we believe standpoint. So we always believe whatever it is that is being told to us by our victim. And I think that offers some support to them to know that we're not questioning their story in any way.
That's also true of us in our office in the counseling center. And in addition, I would say that we also offer specific treatments for trauma. Most specifically, we have a specialist on our staff who offers EMDR treatment, which is an evidence-based treatment for trauma therapy. And we're very proud of that we're able to offer that to our students.
I would echo what most of my colleagues have shared already, and that is an integral part of our board member decision maker training process through campus initiatives and through our Student Conduct Institute. But one thing that's unique to our office, I think I would offer, is that our role is the fact finders, diligent fact finders, and to establish based on evidence if something did or did not occur as it relates to what someone's been alleged to have done. And so there has to be a balance between, a critical balance between a trauma-informed approach, but while also seeking to discover and to prove what did or did not occur. And so that's, I guess, what I would add to that.
And I think Student Support Services is a little bit different than all the other offices that are being represented here today. But I think what makes us trauma-informed is the fact that we are a place for students. We're an academic support program primarily, but we know that academic success is just one small piece of everybody else's life, and we're here to support them as their advisors, as their mentors, as their counselors, and help educate them and just be present for them and whatever it is that they may need in that moment.
And similar to what Student Support Services does, GEO does for our international students. And so they may come to us as a first stop, and we just try to get them the resources they need in other areas of campus, be it Title IX or UP, housing, things like that.
Okay, so our next question is, what involvement opportunities are available?
I'll start because I was going to answer the last question and I don't think I got on here quick enough. But typically we have a lot more involvement opportunities. This is a little bit different given the current pandemic that we're experiencing. I run a program called the Safety Ambassador Program, which is students, whether it's through accredited internship or we pay them. Unfortunately, this semester I only have one student, which is a lot different than the 6 that I had last semester. But what the students typically do is they just work in conjunction with either an officer or myself or a dispatcher, and they shadow us, and they really just become an extended part of our department. Helping bridge that gap and facilitate that peer-to-peer safety and experience. So they help run our social media. They help us decide which events we should do, maybe pushing out different promotions, like a survey was brought up, or helping us kind of establish better patrol routes, because let's just be honest, they know a lot more about what's going on out there than we do at times. So that is the one way for folks to get involved. I am looking for interns, so if anyone is interested in that, it is going to look a little bit different, but feel free to reach out and we'll do what we can.
I agree with Jessica that we typically offer a lot of, I apologize for the dogs barking in the background. But we typically do offer internship opportunities, but also too, if anyone is interested, I am all about mentoring. I love this. This is my favorite thing. So if anyone's interested in ever getting coffee or just having conversation about what I do in my job or as a dog mom, I'm more than happy to have that conversation and tell you about what I do as a prosecutor and what that job entails. I'm all about even having a conversation, or if you want to even say, listen, I want to come see a hearing or a trial, let me know. I am definitely all about that and letting people know the benefits or the plus of being an attorney in general or being a prosecutor, because I do love my job. So.
I'll go on that too. We love our internships. We had 2 last year. 2 that we had never offered before, and that was with the benefit of working with SUNY Plattsburgh. Due to the pandemic, it's a little more difficult to manage that, and towards the end of last semester, we had to to improvise in how we ended the internships, but they're very beneficial. The students that were able to participate got to see things that I think will benefit them down the road. We look forward to hosting more interns down the road, but we're gonna have to see how we get through this, but internships are good.
We too take interns, and just like you just heard, COVID-19 put a big damper on that experience as it ended last semester. And this semester we have chosen not to have interns, just to let COVID-19 run its course. But we are accepting applications for the spring internship, and people should go ahead if they are looking for that and start to submit them now so they could be interviewed. And in addition to that, we have social media that we hope people follow us on. We have events that are at the college that I think might be in a virtual format this year, but will still be happening. We love to come out if you have a group or a sorority or a club and you would like us to come be a guest speaker, we could do that. And whenever those events are being held, we love to see the public come out and join us. And so those are some ways. We also take volunteers. So even if you don't want to be an intern, but you want to get involved, you can reach out to me with my email, gdenton@bhsn.org. And I'm sure that that information will be posted at the end anyways, or call and leave a message and we can talk to you about volunteering opportunities.
I'll run through our opportunities. We accept interns, as most folks are here as well. We also hire 8 graduate assistants each year, and good benefits come with that, but those are the folks that help us run our residence halls, as well as 80 community advocates, and those are the students that live on the floors within the residence halls. Those opportunities for community advocates, due to COVID-19, a good thing, we're going to start ramping up our process to look at our hiring process next week or the week after that. So students will start seeing information going out about that. If anyone's interested in what those positions are and the great leadership opportunities that exist, and they're interested in helping other people be successful as well as learning and kind of augmenting your own resume, pop in, wear your mask, and see us. But you can give us a call. You can send us an email. I'd be happy to Zoom with anyone as well. We're always happy to help our students grow in this way.
So student support services, we primarily serve first-generation college students who come from moderate income backgrounds. So if you're Pell eligible, you are probably eligible for a program. And we also work with students with disabilities. So we try to hire students who qualify for our service because we understand the experiences of our students at an intimate level, but we have so many opportunities. Teaching assistants in the courses. You can be a tutor for English or math. You can be a mentor if you're an upper division student for freshman students or students who are having some difficulties transitioning. We hire work study students every semester, and we really base it on their major. So this year we're actually looking for somebody for PR and marketing. So if you are someone who's work study eligible looking for that position, go right to Handshake right now. The application closes in a few days. We have a lot of people who are like psychology or sociology majors who run wellness groups. We have people who are marketing and economics who help people with financial literacy. So there's just opportunities are bad. Most of you would probably prefer to have a paid position, but we do have other volunteer positions as well. So if you want more information, just contact me at sss@plattsburgh.edu. Thank you.
So similarly to everyone else, it's so easy to get involved. And as mentioned before, within my position, I oversee a few different opportunities of the Title IX office. One being our peer education program, which is going to be completely new. It's been revamped over the summer. We'll have a lot more information coming out shortly to everyone, especially on our webpage. We also have a bystander intervention program called Step Up. So teaching students to be engaged in how to stop things from happening before they happen, rather than just after they happen, when most of us get involved to help respond. So really that prevention side. In addition to that, as mentioned, we have interns in our office, a few of which are already on here, who I'm gonna also just allow them to introduce themselves as well.
All right, I can go first. Hi everyone, this is Ethiopia. I am the intern for social media intern for Title IX. I mean, yeah, that's me.
Hello.
Ciarah.
Hello. Oh, great. Just making sure. Hi, I'm Santana. I am the peer educator intern for Title IX. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ciarah. I am the LGBTQ plus resource committee intern.
And now we proceed with the show. Take us away, Ciarah.
Okay, so the final general question is, are there any new policies or rules or laws that we should be aware of?
So yes, I will give you the abbreviated version. Everyone should received an email. Well, students, faculty, and staff received an email from me last week highlighting some updates in our office and different things. One of those were new changes to the Title IX rule as of August 14th, 2020. So if you go on to the Plattsburgh webpage and you put in Title IX and you go to our main page, there's going to be an overview of those changes and some of the frequently asked questions. To give you some idea of what we did as a campus, we maintained everything that we could that we see as being best practice in regards to our response to sexual and interpersonal violence. So it is the position of our office and of others who collaborate with us and working on prevention and response that what we do is not about compliance. Well, it is about compliance, let's be clear. So we have to comply with state and federal laws and regulations, but that we are always going above compliance, and we are working to create a model that other campuses and institutions can look to. So what we did is that we maintained everything we could. And so some of those things that would be an example of that is that under the new rule, we were given the option to extend the time it takes to do an investigation through adjudication to 90 days. We maintained a 60-day time frame. We were allowed to change the burden of proof to clear and convincing. We maintained preponderance of evidence. We were allowed to create a policy that that would have integrated all of our policies. We created a standalone policy. And the reason why that is important is that under the new rule, college campuses are not required to respond to incidents of sexual or interpersonal violence or discrimination or harassment that do not occur on campus or in a campus affiliated program. So what this allows us to do is that we will use our sexual and interpersonal violence policy that already exists, rely on the student code of conduct, and in HR through the employee relations agreements, that if someone comes forward to report an incident, it remains that it doesn't matter where it happened, we care about who it happened to. And if something happened to someone who's a member of our campus community, we are going to respond in every way that we possibly can. So I think that outlines the big points. It's important to highlight as well that this is the first major change to the rule, which is a very small paragraph of the 1972 Education Act since 1972. So it's pretty huge, and it's not without controversy, but ultimately I think we've done the best we can to continue to give the best response that we can to our campus community.
Hello. One thing I would like to touch upon when asking if there's been lots of or any changes to laws, kind of a loaded question because there's been a lot of law changes as law enforcement would know about. But I think one that is very particular or pertains to college students is the concept of revenge porn. that in July of 2019 was legalized that to publish or to share any pictures or substance of a sexual nature with others is now Class A misdemeanor, and they do face up to 1 year in jail with fines. However, with that being said, I always would caution and urge everybody, students or non-students, just to be conscientious and think twice before sending pictures of yourself or anything of that nature, because unfortunately you never know if it's going to fall into the wrong hands, even if you trust the person at the moment. So that is one thing I would say, but we do have the tool now that it is a Class A misdemeanor, so legally we can do something about it if that were to ever happen to anybody.
And I don't want to speak about, there have been no changes in laws. There's been a guidance that has been rescinded with regards to international students. But just proof that this administration is doing whatever it can to affect our students. So in an effort to keep them compliant and within their status, reporting does not affect your status. It does not affect your visa. It will not affect you if you have to reapply to renew your visa. If you are accused or found guilty of something, that absolutely can affect your visa and your status, and any crimes or anything that you have done should be reported to GEO immediately so that we can discuss what your options are at that point.
Zyaijah, are we going to have time? I mean, I would echo everything Butterfly already said. I think we're slated to be able to speak more specifically as it relates to each process or each office function. So if we're still going to be able to do that, given the time, I would say I'll wait to cover that stuff then. Is that good?
We're good. So I'm just going to give Ciarah a little break here and jump in. So at this time, we do have office-specific questions. We will go within our time limit, and it is coming a little close. So if everyone can kind of keep their response brief. As mentioned before, we do have all the responses from all of our panelists today, which we will share throughout our social media accounts to get the answers for people. So our first question goes to the Title IX office, and any of us can answer. But what are the accommodations available to someone, both either reporting or respondent?
So it involves everyone who's on this Zoom session. So pretty much everyone that you see or office that's represented is communicated to individuals when they come in for an intake. So whether they're a reporting individual or an accused individual. So resources or accommodation would look like things such as counseling services, student support services if it's impacting someone's academic abilities, or working with departments or specific professors to get extensions or excused absences if that's something that occurs. Additionally, we can work to get students safe housing, to get them a room change. We have interim measures such as no contact orders, within which we can, if a students are sharing the same class, we can switch that and make that not happen any longer. We can move people if they're living in the same buildings. Other things that we would do is we would work with GEO, for example, if a student is an international student, whether they are an accused or reporting individual, so that they understand what their rights and responsibilities are per whatever their visa or contract is with the institution. And sometimes there's situations where students are being sponsored by other agencies. So we sometimes have to work with those other agencies as well. So essentially again, it goes back to that intersectional perspective and getting to know the person and understanding what their needs are. And then ultimately we will figure out how to tap into whatever resources we have to make sure that that person feels completely supported and ultimately can continue on with an enriching academic experience.
Thank you. And next up, we have our Student Conduct Office. So who makes the decisions for outcomes for students who have violated the Student Code of Conduct or other policies?
Is this specific to the new Title IX regulations or generally?
Generally, but
Okay.
both. And
So
then
both.
feel free to tie in your other points that you were making before.
Sure. So generally speaking, it depends on what type of hearing it is. If it's an administrative hearing, which I would serve, or a designee. So one thing I didn't get a chance to speak to earlier, I was slow on the draw, was one way to get involved in our office is through graduate student internships, and someone on this call is serving in that capacity. I'm not going to blow up their spot so they can say that themselves, but students who are interning in the office will have opportunities to also meet with students and oversee their own administrative hearings. But that's where that position serves as the facilitator, the question asker, and the decision maker, administrative hearings. Board hearings, so I would serve on all board hearings to facilitate the proceedings, but the board of 3 people who are trained people from our campus, and that's another way people can get involved in our office, is through volunteering and going through the application process, which we hold in the spring, to be trained and to serve as part of our board member pool. So, and if you have interest before the spring, reach out to me, please, and we can work that out. But if it's a board hearing, the board are the question askers and they are the decision makers. That would be applicable to the Title IX proceedings as well.
Thank you. And the next question is for our Director of Housing and Community Living. There we go, got it. What should I do if I do not feel safe within my residence hall or off campus?
Well, it may seem obvious, but to tell one of us, that's what we're here for, folks. If you're on campus, your CA, your CD, you can come to our office, you can go to University Police, you can go to Title IX, whoever you feel comfortable sharing information with. We desperately don't want you to have that situation happening to you. If you're not feeling safe, that's what we're here to do. Same thing for off-campus students. Although I'm the director of for campus housing, I've probably talked to 5 or 6 students who are in off-campus situations that they're not comfortable with, not feeling safe, but situations with landlords and those types of things. We are here to help all of our students, and come see us. And if I'm not the right person, we'll make sure you get to the right people. And that's certainly what happens with the CAs and the CDs as well. And any of the faces you see on the screen, that's what we're here for, is to help our students be successful and to make them feel safe and comfortable here.
Thank you. And next would go to our own University Police. How does the school communicate with students and faculty and staff when there is an emergency?
So SUNY Plattsburgh provides notification to the campus regarding situations that pose a threat to the safety and well-being of our community through several notification methods. Depending on the situation, those may be either through SUNY New York Alert, through the SUNY Plattsburgh homepage, messages on our social media, campus email lists, and then depending on the severity of the situation, we may use local media outlets on public address systems of such.
Thank you. And next goes both to our city chief of police, as well as our New York State campus, yes, there we go, New York State Campus Sexual Assault Services investigator as well. So when should I call either one of your entities rather than calling University Police?
So we want to make sure that the campus students are safe. They're members of our community. Probably the most, when there's an emergency and you're off campus, there are times where a student will be off campus and they'll have University Police programmed into their phone and they'll call University Police. And all that is doing is delaying the response that we can make if they're not close to campus. So I would say program our phone number into your phone as well. 518-563-3411. 911 is also a good option. But really, when there's an emergency and you're nowhere near campus, that's when you want to call us.
Levi, good answer. I'll chime in there and say if it's an actual emergency, you need police assistance, it really doesn't matter who you reach out for. The quickest responding person is going to come if you dial 911, whether it be the state, city, village, or UPD. Within my job, it's kind of unique. Enough's enough legislation, as I said, outlines certain crimes where the state police will step in if they're requested by the victim. All three agencies or village police, everybody's trained law enforcement professionals. They're all equipped to deal with sexual assault, dating violence, stalking, and domestic violence. It's going to be up to the victim, whoever they choose they want to work with. We have no problem stepping in if they ask us to, or work with the surrounding agencies and assist them in any way that we can. That's really the only difference.
Thank you. And next question goes to our assistant district attorney. Could you walk us through the process of what to expect once your office is involved?
Sure. So typically, especially when it comes to sexual assault cases, I personally am involved even prior to an arrest being made. And what that means is typically I can meet with the victim before I review the facts of the case as well as the evidence and assessing what charges should be charged. Once a case is charged, I typically meet with the victim very soon after to let them know kind of the process, because obviously it's a foreign process and it's a lengthy process, which was lengthy pre-COVID. So now post-COVID, it's even worse, as everyone knows. So I meet with them and explain to them not only what their options are as victims and what services are available to them, but I also explain to them the process of the defendant, the person who's accused, and what that means in terms of whether or not they're going to be incarcerated. Now, with the new bail reform, will they be in jail? Will they be released? What options are available? Are there orders of protections in place? Also to what process of a criminal case is, so they know it's not typically over within a couple of weeks. But also I meet with them, probably I meet a little bit more than most people do. I like to keep in frequent contact with my victims, mainly because so they know that someone's in their corner and knows that even though months went by, I haven't forgotten about you. And just because the court case isn't on doesn't mean that your needs are not what I want to fulfill and help you if I can. I also try to meet with them not only about the criminal case, but also what services are available through either Stop Domestic Violence, but also through, are they in counseling? What services does the campus allow for them? And typically we are together through the end. And even if someone takes a plea, can they do a victim impact statement? And I go through that with them. And I try to stay with them through the whole process. And also know, even if a case is closed, it doesn't mean that if you want to stay in contact with me, I am more than happy to. And that it's not just about the court to me, it's about the whole process working with them. So they'll hear a lot from me, which some like, some don't. So it kind of is what hit or miss sometimes.
Great, thank you. And just for people who may be watching the clock, we have 4 questions to go. We're going there, we're almost done. Just for people who are watching the clock, I do understand, don't worry, I'm with you. So the next question is for our Director of Counseling. What are some common myths about counseling that you hear that busting them, for instance, right now, could help students come to the counseling center a bit more? And how can students reach the counseling center given all of the COVID-related guidelines?
I think one of the myths that I hear frequently, Zyaijah, is there's a waiting list in the counseling center. I can't get into the counseling center. Why is it taking so long to get into the counseling center? So we do not ever have a waiting list. We do, however, have a waiting time, and that waiting time varies anywhere from, if you called today, you could get an appointment tomorrow. If you call in the middle of the semester, that's going to be a different story, because the longer the semester goes on, the more students get into the schedule, and then there's a longer wait time. So that wait time does get up sometimes to 2 weeks. And that is true. So the time does get to be longer, but it's not that you are on a list that waits and we put it in a closet and people don't get seen. We see every student who calls for an appointment, and every student gets seen throughout the semester. And if someone's in an emergency, that person is definitely going to be seen, and you're going to be seen that very same day for an emergency appointment. And that's always been true and always will be true. I think the other thing that has distressed me at a certain point is someone once told me, is it really true that you've known of sex offenders and no one's ever told anybody about them? And I've had to say, well, I'm a confidential resource on campus, and I'm a confidential reporter, and that means that victims and survivors have a right to come and tell me information. And what I do in my role is I listen and I talk about options and I talk about choices. And every survivor has a right to decide whether or not they're going to report. And if they decide that they don't want to report, that is their choice. So yes, it's very true that I might know about someone who has been an offender, and no one is going to know about that because I have to abide by confidentiality, and that's the law for me not to talk about that with anybody. I do want to dispel that. And the other thing that you asked me was about services for this semester. And here's the world of our new normal, as we're all calling it now, right? So in the new normal, services at the counseling center are all either online or by phone this semester to help us keep everybody on campus safe. So the way that students should access our services is by calling our phone number, 518-564-3086, and you will get our office manager and she will connect you with an appointment. And that includes crisis services. Crisis services are also accessed the same way. We do have crisis services, and all of our services are accessed by phone. So please call. We are here. We will be here whether we're all remote or whether we're half remote and half, in classes, but we will always be here. We were here in the spring as well after everybody went home. So that's us and how to access us.
Thank you. So the next question goes to Student Support Services and asking, what resources do you provide to students throughout the semester and how can they access them?
Okay, so TRIO Student Support Services is one program, but there's Student Support Services Office, which encompasses 3 programs, so I'll go through all 3 of the programs. The first program is Student Accessibility Services, so that can provide accommodations, medical singles for housing, emotional support animals, and that again is going to be through SA as an apple, S, at plattsburgh.edu. And all you really need to do is connect with Jen Curry, and it's a really interactive process. If you already have a medical paperwork or mental health paperwork or an IEP or 504, it's automatic. But if you have something going on and you want to talk with someone and you're not really sure if it qualifies to receive accommodations, talk with Jen and she'll help you out. As far as the food shelf, that is different this semester. We used to kind of have a grab and go. You don't have to make an appointment. You don't just kind of come and take what you want. This semester, there's going to be a form going out. It should be going out through the Enrollment and Student Success Division, either from myself or Dr. Michelle Carpentier. And it's a Google form. So once every week, you can get a bag of groceries or toiletries, whatever it is you may need, or one of each. And there'll be pickup in the basement of Macomb Hall, which is where SSS and Ethiopia are located. And we are socially distant doing it, but so check us out. And we're also hosting some vegetables free from the community garden. So that's something to be checking out during harvest time. And as far as TRIO Student Support Services, we are really a holistic office. We're an academic support program, but we provide supportive counseling. We provide financial literacy counseling. We have mentors. We have academic coaches. Come in and talk with one of us. There's 8 of us in the office. Whoever you vibe with, just come on in and we'll let you know.
Thanks so much for that. Next, as mentioned in the beginning, we care a lot deeply about our students, but also our faculty and staff. So I'm going to ask our Human Resource Services representative to tell us what the reporting process looks like for faculty and staff.
Hi again, everybody. So Human Resource Services can be reached in a variety of ways. We are a private resource. We're located in the Kehoe building, office 912. We can be contacted by phone at 518-564-5062. We can also be reached by email at hrs@plattsburgh.edu. So in many situations, our office will work closely with the Title IX office. to ensure the best support possible, as well as referring a faculty or staff member to take advantage of our Employee Assistance Program, which is EAP if appropriate. On the flip side of that, if a faculty or staff member is involved in a complaint or a report, upon the report being received, our office will assess the situation. Investigation and disciplinary action in line with the appropriate collective bargaining agreements, college policies, and documented personnel history may occur after that happens.
Thank you. And last but not least, our last two local agencies that we work very deeply with, Sexual Assault Services and Stop Domestic Violence, answering the question of what are some common effects and reactions from someone experiencing violence, and how can someone get in contact with both of your agencies given all the COVID has done to us?
I would say one of the biggest kind of effects I see is a lot of self-blame, guilt, that sort of thing going around. And I think that's one of the hardest things to I don't want to say combat because that's a strange word, but it does kind of fit. So that's one of the main things I work with people on, and just reminding someone that they didn't make the choice for someone else to harm them. People feeling guilty about going through the Title IX process or speaking with law enforcement, they didn't make the choice to do that either, because it goes back to they didn't make the choice to be harmed. So that's kind of the biggest thing that I try to reiterate with people. As far as getting into contact with me or Sexual Assault Services, the best way is our hotline, or even my office line directly, since I'll be the one mainly working with campuses. My office line is 518-891-0046, and my extension is 366. That's gonna be the most direct way, or email mason.dierich@ppncny.org. But yeah, that's gonna be the most direct ways.
All right, well, I agree with Mason. So some of the other reactions or responses that we frequently see are victims who are really depressed, really feeling like they've hit an all-time low and that there isn't any help out there and that no one's listening. So we work hard to let them know that we are listening and we're here for them. We definitely see some guilt where they are worried about what's going to happen to the person that they were involved with in a relationship because they still have feelings for them and are trying to process those. We also see some fear, fear for their own lives and safety and for the unknown future that lies ahead. To get a hold of us, you can call us 24 hours a day. We're always free, 518-563-6904. Again, that's 518-563-6904. We do have a full array of services, so transportation if you need to go make a report or go to court. We can help you to obtain an order of protection. Just give us a call and we can talk about that, and there's a myriad of other things we do. And if you don't want to call us, you can email. Our general email is stopdv@bhsn.org. So again, that's the word stop, and then the D as in David, V as in violence, stopdv@bhsn.org. Or you can send me an email at gdenton@bhsn.org. We're all here to help you.
So I want to thank all of our panelists for coming out today and sharing their great insight for all of us. Again, no matter where we are, whether our students, faculty, and staff are remote or in person, they are definitely here to help you. As mentioned by Genie, many people feel as though there aren't people there to support them. I want you to look at this video and see that there are a lot of people who are part of any process that you may choose to go to at your own pace, who are looking to help you. In addition to those who are here and were able to join us tonight, we do have other entities. So our Student Health Center at SUNY Plattsburgh are also here for you, and you will see the answers to their questions on our social media accounts, as well as Champaign Valley Physicians Hospital, which is our local hospital in the community, and getting their medical services and what that looks like. Again, please check out our social media please let us know if you ever have any questions. We would love to get you connected to people who can help you throughout your process. I thank you all for your time. I wish you a great evening and a great semester and a great weekend. And thank you again.